Welcome to 1800 Seconds in Pro Wrestling. I'm NORCAM Eddie.
I'm NORCAM Jason.
We're still going by our NORCAM names, right?
Sure.
All right, why not? So we're going to jump right into headlines, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, take it away.
All right. Top one that kind of made the internet rounds today, or this past weekend.
I think it was yesterday.
Yesterday?
The day before, I think so, yeah.
Anyways, Rock posted a funny Instagram photo of a Rubik's Cube and him in a New Japan shirt, which is uncharacteristic.
So does that mean that the AEW partnership is over? Because they still have Forbidden Door coming up.
I don't know. Does it limit?
Is it legit? I don't know. Can they have multiple partnerships, or can that?
I mean, is it? I don't see why not. It's not like AEW can dictate what they do or not. It's more in my head of WWE saying no, we wouldn't do that, as opposed to AEW.
I mean, they said they were open for business when the conversation came up when AEW started Forbidden Door, and all of that said we're open for business. And I mean, look at their partnership with TNA, so I don't see why not. It could be interesting. Do you think that they would do a PLE like AEW does, like a Forbidden Door, or do you think it'd be more casual, like when they start bringing in
be more casual,
like ECW guys into Raw, and they kind of acknowledge these guys are from a different company, but they never felt the need to.
I think the global audience is as educated as like an AEW audience would be in terms of who these people are, and not for nothing, New Japan isn't the same company it was 5 years ago.
Right back in the day. Yeah.
Speaking of which, Naito leaves New Japan. So that's one less marquee name that they have to point to be like to help sell a pay-per-view.
So do you think that means he's WWE bound, or is this just?
I don't know. I probably would say AEW, but the Rock shirt kind of makes me question it.
Well, it makes me wonder too, because with Mania being this weekend, and you know, obviously there's room for run-ins, possibilities. I mean, Orton's not on the card. At least as of right now, he's not on the card because
interesting.
Kevin had to bow out, given a neck injury. So the question is, do we have anyone for Orton? Is there going to be a big surprise? There's obviously Malachi Black might be coming back. Rusev's been re-signed.
Nick Aldis has. I think that's the leading one. Not to jump ahead, but I think that makes the most sense. But
well, we're going to talk about Mania. Let's get right to the Mania card. So according to Wikipedia, because I had to do a little refresh here. I'll go through both cards real quick. So night one, War Raiders, New Day, Tag Straps, Mysterio, El Grande Americano, Jade Cargill, Naomi, LA Knight and Jacob Fatu for the US strap, Tiff Stratton and Charlotte Flair for the women's strap, Gunther and G.A. Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship in the triple threat of Roman, Punk, Rollins. Thoughts? If that is the card for night one, according to Wikipedia.
Punk gets his main event, I think. If we're going to count it.
Now, how many in terms of a card? How many matches on this card? Because we always say, like Mania, you don't want it to be a one-match card.
Yeah.
This, to me, seems like maybe 2.5.
But I'd say the strong point of the two-night main event or two-night show has been, at least in the last couple of years, is you unexpectedly get a really good show on night one. And you're like, wow, that's fantastic. I'll take another one. And then night two, where you're like, it's got to be great. Doesn't quite live up to the hype. So
the two that I think have the strongest possibility or probability of doing that for me is LA Knight and Jacob Fatu.
Okay.
And I kind of feel like even War Raiders and New Day, I feel like has a possibility of a sleeper match where you absolutely did not anticipate it to be worth your
I'd even say Mysterio and
I was going to say El Grande Americano from the Gulf of America.
It's a sleeper in my head because it's like they're both great workers. This is Chad Gable's first WrestleMania, if we can say that.
We'll have to give him a lie detector and make sure that he's not who he says he is. I mean, in terms of this whole character, though, because many years ago, dating back, let's say, was it 11 years ago when we first did this? And I was really high on the Jack Swagger prior to the dumpster fire that is where we are right now. But I was really, the We the People character I thought was really appropriate. I thought it was really part of the zeitgeist. El Grande Americano, kind of the same thing. And I feel like Triple H or Paul Levesque, however you want to word it, is kind of doubling down on the satire a little bit. Yeah.
But I think in an okay way. Like I'm not offended by the character.
I'm not offended by it because it's like a loosely, it's like a Blue Blazer type.
It's supposed to be a joke.
Right.
Like, there's all this historical footage of him, and he's got this mystique about it. It's like we all know everybody's in on the joke.
Right. So I got two more questions. Stratton and Flair. Who do you see going over? I don't want it to be Flair, but I think it's going to be Flair.
I think you're right there.
I think this is the year of she ties her dad's record and Cena breaks it in Flair's record. And that's unfortunate for Stratton because obviously there's a lot of behind the scenes kind of stuff going on. And
it's weird. It's like Charlotte like dumped all and any like positive things from coming back from an injury just right out the door.
All the goodwill went right out the door.
As soon as she jumped in the Rumble, it was like, oh yeah, we made this. And that was all gone. So I haven't cared about a Flair match. But she shocked, 2 years ago with Rhea.
Yeah.
And had a great
And that was banger match. In fact, that was part of a topic we'll get to in a few minutes here, but my last one for this card at least. Gunther and Jey Uso World Heavyweight Championship. I do want to piggyback off the fact that the poster for Backlash St. Louis was just released yesterday, and it's Orton on the poster.
Okay.
Orton's not on the card. What's the likelihood that the winner of this match faces Orton, or do you see Orton going after the winner of Cena and Cody? I mean, we can get to night 2 if that makes it a little easier.
No, I'm with you. It's a coin toss. Honestly.
Well, speaking of night 2, Liv Raquel, Bayley, and Lyra for the tag strap. We got AJ Styles, Logan Paul, Braun, Penta, Finn, and Dominic for the IC strap. Priest McIntyre in the street fight. Io, Bianca, and Rhea for the women's strap. Cody, Cena, obviously, is your main event. Out of those matches, what are your picks?
It feels like a stronger card. Feels like there's a little bit of everything in there. I'm interested in the street fight because
I will say I think the street fight's going to be again a sleeper. I think AJ, as much as I hate Logan Paul, I think the AJ Logan Paul match might be the match of the night.
I can see that.
I could see that kind of stealing the win from. And I mentioned this to you the other day because I absolutely hate when Mania cards do this, particularly WrestleMania 15. I'm looking at you. The Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental strap. I get it. Penta's new. They want to keep building him. Finn's been really lackluster, if you want my honest opinion.
Sprinkle a little demon dust on there, and that's suddenly way more interesting.
If he came back as a demon, that would... Braun, obviously, I think he's going to drop it. I think they want him to go after...
Push him up the card.
If we're piggybacking, if Jey Uso goes over Gunther, or even if he doesn't, I see Braun going after the winner of that match because I think they want to put him in the contention. I see Dominic taking this.
I could say Finn.
I want to say Finn, but I almost feel like Dominic needs it more than Finn does.
Like a sleazy heel sneaks in the back.
I don't think Penta needs it right now. No. I think we're still getting him going.
Probably dance for a while before you put him and his brother together, and you want him featured prominently, but not pushing to the moon above his brother.
Just to keep going here, Io, Bianca, Rhea. I think Io needs to retain. I really don't think Bianca or Rhea really need that title right now. I mean, I think the build-up has been relatively okay, but I mean, all things considered, this doesn't really feel like a Mania year to me.
It's
very
been a little
underwhelming.
I mean, maybe because last year's was so intense.
But arguably, though, this is the bigger match in my mind, Cody and Cena, because it's Cena's last run. He's a heel now, in case we didn't jump out and point that out. Keenan went heel at Elimination Chamber. Obviously, in my mind, Cena takes this, otherwise, what do we do?
I don't know, but is it just a one-off? Cena wants to be heel here, and this is the Andre to Hogan, Hogan to Rock, Rock to Cena, raise your hand up in the air. Acknowledgement. Do you need to do that at Mania? You almost have to get any like sensible credibility. Every other time it would feel washed down. But
I also feel like if this is Cena's last run, he's got a long list of contenders. So if he gets the strap on Sunday, you could go right into Backlash St. Louis in Orton's hometown. You could have that, dream match. Obviously, Orton doesn't need to win. Really, neither of them really needs to win. They just need to have the match. And then, obviously, Orton's a babyface. And then you have Punk, who's a huge babyface. And then you can have Punk and Cena, probably in Boston, which allegedly is happening in December of this year. So, well, let's move right on to AEW business because they're in town tonight and tomorrow. I do not watch AEW, so you're my AEW guy. As far as I was concerned, with Punk leaving, Cody leaving, we've had a lot of talents leaving. Mercedes Moné has done nothing for me.
Nope.
I was a big Sasha Banks fan when she was in WWE. I loved the booking of her and Charlotte in the Hell in a Cell that we were both at. there's nothing. I mean, Danhausen is MIA, so there's really nothing in AEW for me personally. What about yourself?
I think the most interesting thing about this show was the fact that it's at the Fenway MG.
I was gonna say when Jason says that the actual booking of the venue is the most important or the most interesting part about this, it's probably not a good sign for things.
Yeah, I mean, just talk about it. It looks like a fantastic building. Like has the potential to be our own. What's the place One Night Stand was?
Oh yeah. For the ECW, that's what I call it in Philadelphia.
Not Philadelphia. In New York.
Oh,
Manhattan Center. The
I want to say
the ballroom.
Yeah,
there. So hopefully this is a trend, where we don't have to go to.
I mean, it would be interesting to see bigger companies in smaller venues again.
Yeah.
Just for the novelty of it. Mm-hmm. Well, then, off topic. I know this irks the hell out of me. John Moxley in that nailed bad spot. I mean,
disgusting. I don't like ultra violent pro wrestling. It doesn't do it.
I mean, and we both grew up in the 90s. We both grew up big ECW guys, but I feel like even ECW knew when to sort of like in moderation
shift down. Guys in a field in a makeshift wrestling ring is akin to like backyard wrestling.
Yeah, it's backyard wrestling, correct?
It's Jackass meets
right,
whatever.
It's
infomercial tape.
It's too much haha, as Bruce Pritchard would say.
Not even haha. It's just like it's depressing. It's bum fights.
Yeah,
like on a grand scale.
It's the girls gone wild.
Yeah, it just feels dirty, and it's the juggalo wrestling, if you will.
It's when you kind of proverbially jump the shark, and it's just because at least ECW had, in my opinion, 5-star actual wrestling matches among the sort of New Jack gimmicky, throw someone off a ledge and into like 20 tables sort of thing.
There's a story behind it, not doing it for the sake of the spot, but the spot being the sake of the story sometimes.
It makes me wonder how many, just in terms of like the booking and Tony Khan, if like, I feel like it should be taught in most wrestling schools, the Kennel from Hell match. Yeah. Unforgiven 99 is just there's good gimmick, and then there's when gimmicks just go terribly wrong. But before we run out of time here, top 5 Mania matches for the Hall of Fame. What do you have?
Me and you have been watching WWE.com or YouTube all like the last few months.
I don't hate their number one pick. I'm surprised that I thought it was going to be Austin Hart from Mania 13, and it turns out it's Undertaker HBK from 25, which you called. You said that was likely going, because we were picking our brains. I could not think.
Yeah, we were stuck. We were scratching our heads for a couple days.
I got nervous on the way here today because I was thinking, I don't remember seeing Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter. So like there was a part of me that was like, could they really go in that direction? Could they pull one out, and could they make this a Hogan thing? Hogan's not exactly the most viable candidate to promote professional wrestling right now, but
for me, it's easy to just pick a lot of Brett matches. Like Brett has a catalog of great WrestleMania.
I hope that him and Dawson are not getting the ring at the Hall of Fame, because Brett does not have enough fingers for the amount of matches that they're going to put in the Hall of Fame. He's going to need the. I'm just spacing on the glove.
Yeah.
the gauntlet.
The Universe Gauntlet. Yeah. WWE Universe Gauntlet.
In terms of Hall of Fame, I do see Michaels and Undertaker, that first match, probably being inducted. I see Hell in a Cell, TLC 2 from WrestleMania 17. I see that being a likely candidate to go in. Obviously Macho Man and Rick Steamboat, I see that going in.
Hogan and Andre, I think, just for the
Hogan Andre, Hogan Rock, Rock Austin. I mean, and again, one of my personal favorites is Roddy Piper and Hart. Once again, Brett, again, with the Infinity
It almost
Gauntlet.
has to like transcend. Like that's a solid match, but I don't know if it transcends into something bigger.
Well, going into the collections here, because I know you were putting so much emphasis on our table display here, because you see this as us moving backwards. I see this as
we've become the 90s pro wrestling public access show. this week as.
Jason likes to refer to it as we've become everything we hated. I personally saw this as a something to aim for here. Obviously, these are Jason's kids. Jason's kids' toys.
Stoneham's Inside Pro Wrestling. Shout out to Dave Fournier.
If anyone from Stoneham TV happens to be watching, if there's any sort of content, I would like to get our hands on that.
I'd like to talk to him.
I'd like to see the footage. I would like to revisit some of that stuff. Personally speaking, I do not have a contribution with me to the collection. However, I will add I did just recently finish Jim Ross's book Under the Black Hat. Fantastic read. Unfortunately, being wrestling fans as long as we have, there's not a whole lot that really surprises us or like is a story we haven't already read in dirt sheets or seen online or seen
some
on
documentary.
Right. So I mean, it was an excellent read. I'm kind of searching for the next wrestling book to track down, but you don't play with that the whole time. He's a little distracted.
He's listening.
What to watch? What do you have for recommendations, sir?
I think it's the thing we saw the other day. The WrestleMania 9 documentary was
that was excellent. That was a lot of fun to watch.
I love that somebody, probably Triple H, what am I looking for? Edict of just get out there and let's dig around.
I want to know what else they have, like in terms of like
some fun stuff,
house shows. Like there was that, there was the Attitude Era DVD that came out that was superior to the first. Because I hated that first Attitude Era DVD, but it was superior because it actually had house show footage where there was a dog collar match with Road Dogg and Billy Gunn from like '99. Obviously, I think that was before and after their early Edge match, but like no audio, no commentary, and even the camera. The only complaint I had, the camera work was so shaky that it was kind of nauseating. But like, I would love to see if there's actual like pro shot footage.
Supposedly, every house show, at least for like the modern era, has had a single camera like set up somewhere on the ring. So that's incredible. Like all these things. Like supposedly there's an Undertaker Eddie Guerrero match that exists somewhere.
Okay, I'd like to see that one. How are we doing for time, sir?
We're good. We've still got like 13 minutes, so we can just riff on Mania and stuff like that.
Oh, fantastic. What to watch? I second that. That documentary was absolutely fantastic. I was also telling Jason that Internet Archive, thankfully, it's hard to come by any good New Japan Pro Wrestling because Vice recently did the Dark Side of the Ring with Big Van Vader.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a lot of, apologize when I shut my phone for there, but
there's two.
There's two. It's a lot of spam. There's a lot of stuff I didn't, and I was a Vader fan in WWE. As a kid, I was a huge Vader fan, but there was a lot of stuff I didn't realize in terms of how the character, I didn't even know it was developed in Japan Pro Wrestling. That it was the helmet, all of it. It was, if you get a chance to watch it, I mean, I know I did listen to Jim Cornette. He took umbrage with a little bit of it because he kind of felt like there were giant gaps in, his career and stuff that could have been acknowledged, in the fact that despite his lackluster WWE run, and when he was like, he did go back to Japan and he did have a pretty solid run, and those matches are top tier. I even came across one where him and Bam Bam Bigelow were tag team partners with like Ron Simmons, and I forget the other gentleman's name, but I was just like, wait, Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader were actually tag team, like.
Yeah, and actually pretty successful, if I remember.
Well, there was even, now what was the, because I vaguely remember this guy, and you were like, he was the guy with the SS tattoo on him. Like,
Ludwig Borga? Yeah.
So I came across another, it was in New Japan, where it was a tournament, and it was from like 92, and it was NWA guys, and Arn Anderson's in it, he was in it, Steve Austin, but he was even in it, and it was this tournament. I was like, oh wow, so I'm actually like trying to seek out,
educate yourself on.
I would love to, because as I mentioned to you, like the thing with New Japan that struck me was how dignified, I think that was the word you used, how dignified it was. To me, it seemed more legitimate. It seemed like an actual sport. Which
it's less silliness. It's the combat in the ring. It's very rarely where you see stuff even exit the ring.
And despite the fact that obviously wrestling is predetermined, but it seemed like more of a combat sport over there, especially in the late 80s, early 90s. So, I mean, in terms of like what to watch, that's something else I would turn to. Obviously, you can try to look on YouTube, but I was having better luck on Internet Archive. So, I mean, if anyone wants to email norcameddie@gmail.com, if you happen to know where to find, I want to get back into DVD trading. I want VHS and DVD trading. I want that to become a thing again. I have a working VHS. I have a working DVD player. It's how I'm doing my DVD yoga these days. So No, I would love to get my hands on some more New Japan stuff, but what are some of our final thoughts on Mania now?
Where is this guy?
That's a good question.
Rock?
So there's been internet speculation. There's been rumors and innuendo, so to speak, that someone had floated the idea of like, what happens if Cody gets over on Cena, Rock gets pissed off, comes out, flexes executive, I'm on the board power, and then he gets over on Cody and he gets strapped. I'm like,
not the Hogan Mania 9.
It's funny because it is in Vegas.
Yeah.
It is in Vegas. And they did make it, now maybe it just could be coincidental that they did make a point to put that documentary out. They had exhumed all this footage from the proverbial purgatory of, archival footage. They put together this phenomenal documentary. And it seemed like a lot of it was screw you, Hogan. And Hogan, in a very Hogan way.
And, I think Rock's words after WrestleMania last year on the first Raw was like, when I come back, I'm coming back for that.
Yeah.
To the WWE title. So that would be a way to...
Well, that could also be an excellent way to incorporate Punk back into it. Because I'm still waiting for Punk to get his comeuppance on Dwayne Johnson from...
12 years ago.
Yeah, 12 years from... What was it? Yeah, it was 2013, 2014 when... And again, I'm curious about the end of, just going back to the WrestleMania, I'm curious about the end of Roman, Punk, and Rollins, because they're definitely they're sort of propagating the seeds of Rollins and Heyman are walking out side by side at the end of that night.
I think that's the move. I think it freshens up everybody.
Now, in terms of what's next, so let's say Rollins does align himself with Heyman. That's an interesting dichotomy or dynamic, but then what do you do with Roman and Punk? Because eventually Punk it's inevitable. Punk is going to square up with Cena at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that Punk is going to go after, probably not the undisputed, but he'll probably go after the World Heavyweight Championship at some point.
I can see that.
As for Roman, that's really ambiguous to me. I don't know with Roman.
Somehow you get to The Rock somewhere.
I mean, eventually, sure. But I don't know. Are they going to expedite it and say Roman Rock at SummerSlam? SummerSlam now, keep in mind, is it SummerSlam's 2 nights this year?
Yeah.
So is this the first? Yeah.
Or is the first 2 night SummerSlam?
Because because now all the big 4 are becoming, with the exception of Survivor Series, but I know next year Royal Rumble's 2 nights.
Is that true? Oh.
I'm pretty sure Royal Rumble's 2 nights.
That would make sense because at least you give a gap between the men's and the women's.
Well, speaking of the women's, in case we haven't run out of time yet, Evolve 2 is allegedly in the pipeline for July. So, I mean, that's, again, rumor and innuendo right now. Also, rumor and innuendo was, as we probably mentioned ahead of this, obviously Lesnar. It's in the hands of that case.
He's got to get cleared first. Yeah.
That's... I mean, allegedly he told a fan in, real time that he was retired, and now
that's Rock. I think that's just his attitude and mentality of I'm retired.
I mean, there is that famous photo of him when he started wearing the braid.
Yeah.
And then 2 nights later he was on TV and they were basically saying oh, he looks like this because he's not TV ready or whatever. And I mean, again, are there any surprises coming out of Mania that, I mean, in your mind, you're I could see this happening, or is it just kind of...
I don't see Brock right now. I think that's a little too early.
I don't really see Brock at any point, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm not looking for Brock. Because I feel now that we have Cody holding the title, now that Punk is back, now that you have Penta, now that you have all, again, we have a whole locker room that is overflowing with talent and with stars that
getting used. And
I feel during the McMahon era, there are always these Hail Marys of people getting hurt, people ready to retire, or people just, bottoming out because McMahon didn't really know how to use his talent.
Yeah.
And here we are, and now it's...
So that's a good topic to kind of trail off for the next 5 minutes. Is this his first full year, I guess? Or yeah, complete calendar year that
without McMahon
involved.
What are your thoughts on Steph being involved now?
I'm fine with it. I've always been fine with her. I mean, not as a TV character, but
it is cool to see her now in more of a backstage role where...
Ambassador, kind of.
Yeah, with Stephanie's place. The only episode I caught the Punk episode, which is really entertaining. I know...
There's Cody, there's Brandy, who else? There's Rhea. might be another one.
I did see the Rhea one got some pretty strong reactions online where Stephanie came out and did the Rhea and she had the Triple H logo on the. God, I love the internet sometimes. More often than not, I hate it. But if you go on Reddit on Squared Circle and you see some of the GIF reactions, they are pretty funny. But it's no. I think we're in a more positive place in terms of talent. In terms of, I mean, it was fun to watch the interview with Triple H where he was explaining that Punk kind of slips back into his old role, getting frustrated with creative, but he was able to kind of tone back in and say like,
"Sorry, I have PS."
I have PTSD from you know. And again, even in reading JR's book, and I think I mentioned to you, like there was a part in it where he was somehow getting traded to SmackDown, primarily because he said he didn't want to go to SmackDown, and Vince was like, "All right, I'll show him," and send him to SmackDown. And when Mick Foley was his colleague, and Mick Foley, you know, in between commercial breaks, like, "How do you do this? This is so abusive," and like. You know, he was going into, and I think arguably the worst era was the coal mine. Michael Cole was a heel prior to Jerry having the heart attack. But like, I remember the match, and JR comes and he's doing this match, and the whole time Cole's not even commenting on the match; he's commenting on JR. And in the book, JR was like, "Yep, that's Vince. Yep, that's Vince." And it's so weird because even seeing Michael Cole now, it's like. Somebody had floated the idea because obviously we have the Hall of Fame coming up, and it was like, do we still have one or two more open spots? I mean, obviously, as of this recording, it's Wednesday, so I think we're
much wound up, unless they pull like a Hail Mary, which I feel like they've done. Like Thursday night, they'll announce somebody, and you're like, oh, I had no.
Well, not to like trail off, because what I was going to say, I think Cole's in a much better place now without McMahon, but in terms of the Hall of Fame airing at 1 a.m.
Doesn't bother me. I think if it gives talent like a break and kind of separate, I've hated the back-to-back right after SmackDown feel of it.
It's tough. Well, I remember the year that Undertaker got inducted, and funny enough, we had just started doing this show. Terrible idea, sir. You had programmed that our episode to air right as Taker was giving his speech, and you said, "Are you watching right now?" I said, "You mean our show?" You went, "No, Taker's speech." You go, "No, I'm watching our show." No, I'd already seen it.
The tens of 20s of people that, not even, I'm being generous.
The 3s and 5s. The 3s and 5s, not including Eddie.
We do have a loyal watcher in town, so
we do.
Watching shout out.
We do. Maybe next time we'll get his. We'll remember.
Yeah, we'll get your name. Give you a little shout out. We'll have a banner or something. We'll raise it to the ceiling.
We'll just put your picture right there.
Just floating like the DVD menu, like.
I feel like for a future show, when we're running low on time, like when we're at like the 2-minute warning, we should just have Rob's head floating like the DVD thing, just
pointing. Get back to work. Get back to work. Get back to work.
So, any final thoughts in regard to Mania, Hall of Fame, AEW, any of that?
This is our Super Bowl. I always look forward to it. This is Christmas. You know, I get that. You know.
So what would you consider the proverbial halftime show of WrestleMania in your mind?
Oh man, Takeover would probably be that's. I don't know.
That's a weird one too.
Maybe we're the halftime show.
Maybe we should be the halftime show.
I'll schedule it right in there.
It's gonna make Kendrick Lamar joke. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna keep that one to myself. We do not. In a very litigious society, I do not have Kendra as a lawyer, so we will not take any swipes at any unnamed rappers.
We are not.
The Weeknd?
Isn't that the...
That's not the guy. We don't want to say the guy's name. The guy from Degrassi that he was in the wheelchair.
No, I know, but I'm saying like if we're playing Super Bowl. He's The Weeknd, who's been the song for WrestleMania for the past like 12 years.
He's starting to get into Flow Rider territory where I feel like he's just the house band for WrestleMania now, or like he's essentially the Paramore of the Twilight films, if you will. Like they're just like the Linkin Park of the Transformer movies, if you will. I'm obviously it's Mania. I'm excited every year. This is not the most anticipated Mania in my mind, but then again,
it could sneak up on you.
It could sneak up on you. It could be surprising. I got very excited last year and this year for SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam is kind of replacing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily replacing Mania, but it's nice to have that they're starting to treat the original Big Four
as like big events.
As big events. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, dude, you got a whole locker room full of talent. Like, I would like to see at least one Survivor. Now, I understand War Games, that's a big deal, but I would like to see at least some traditional Survivor Series matches. But I could see about the look on Jason's face. We are running low on
Yes,
time.
we
So
are.
any final thoughts?
Not much. I enjoyed the show.
Yeah, obviously Saturday and Sunday WrestleMania. If anyone happens to be in town tonight or this weekend for AEW, feel free to shout out to us. Let us know how the show was. Otherwise, I'm NORCAM Eddie.
I'm NORCAM Jason.
Thank you for watching.